One group of people who didn't vote to leave with much enthusiasm is younger voters. Figures show that in fact they were voting by around 70% in favour of Remain. But did enough of them vote? The lower the age profile in a constituency, the lower the voter turnout. Well, earlier this week, you may remember Boris Johnson was heckled by a 17-year-old student when he visited Ashby. Will Taylor was angry that he didn't have a vote. Well, later Boris gave this reply.
Will's ability, 17-year-old Will's ability, when he can vote, his vote will matter less and less unless we take back control. That's what it's all about. How can he kick out when he's able to vote? How can he kick out the people who are taking the big decisions, like, President Tusk or President Juncker or Draghi or Schulz or Dijsselbloem, who are the 5 presidents who are setting out the future route map of Europe? Who elected them?
Well, Will Taylor is with us now. Thanks for coming in. Very good afternoon to you. You didn't have a vote. Do you feel let down by those who did have
I don't think let down quite cuts it. I think the word's abandoned by the politicians, they're abandoned by the country, and abandoned the fact that we've left the European Union on a hope, a prediction. And what if that hope and prediction just brings poverty, national discontent and recession?
What you were saying to Boris as he was hurrying down the street was that this was a leap into the unknown. And do you think that events since Thursday have borne that out?
Well, no one knew that the pound would drop in value. We thought it did because we thought we'd remain. But it predicted, and we lost 200 billion on the stock market. We lost the Prime Minister, and that was just by lunchtime.
What do you say to our 2 politicians here who campaigned for us to leave?
I don't think you've took the account of the 16 and 17-year-olds that had a voice but were never heard into your mind. And I believe that you haven't acknowledged our votes as much as you may promote and think that you have took and acknowledged our vote. You haven't.
Yeah, but you're assuming that we are worse off when we're out. That is a wrong assumption.
But you're assuming that we'll be better when we're out. And you don't know that, do you?
I'm very confident of it, and many economists would agree, in the medium term.
Many economists must, you say, agree, but in London, where the most economists are in England, that region voted to remain. So explain to me how economists say that they will be better.
Well, I don't think the economists are a major factor in the number of votes that were cast in London. But the other thing is, you say it's a leap in the dark. I tell you what's a leap in the dark: staying in a dysfunctional European Union
that we could reform.
Long-term relative
that we would reform.
Heather,
no, we've been trying to reform it for 40 years. We have never been able to reform it.
Well, the first thing I'd say is I'm glad young people want to get involved in politics.
See, that's a lie, isn't it? Because when I was doing a citizenship GCSE, I wrote to you and asked, do you believe the 16 and 17-year-olds should vote? And you wrote to me back, headed with the House of Commons stamp, and you said, no, I will not be portraying this voice.
Absolutely right.
In House of So you cannot sit there and say
you voted against 16 and 17.
You cannot sit there and smile and say, I think they should be taken and not acknowledged.
It's their future.
You can't.
Issue, isn't it?
65.
Okay, Will, calm down. First of all, the important thing is how many people between 18 and 24 actually voted?
24%.
64%
voted to remain. That's what we look at.
So that's it, Will. That really is it.
They
didn't vote, Will.
Did vote for Remain, but there was a small turnout.
No, of course there was. I can understand.
Didn't bother to vote.
But why weren't they energised? Because they thought they weren't listened to.
No, that's
they thought
not
they
true,
weren't heard.
That's not
You've
true.
got to understand why.
You can see now why we put an amendment to allow 16 and 17-year-olds, as they were in the Scottish referendum, why we said that 16 and 17-year-olds should have had the opportunity to vote.
Okay, the last word to you, Will, on this issue. What do you think about these responses?
I think they're honest. I just don't believe that they can predict what the future is going to be like for me and many others in the town of Swadlincote. And no, of course I can't, because we've now leaped into the unknown.
Even if it's just the optimism
I
of
believe the 60% of South Derbyshire folk that voted Leave. That's who I believe it will.
Thank you very much indeed for coming in, Will. That's great. Let's go back to Tony Rowe, our political editor.